Hey guys, so continuing on with the advanced tutorials for Apex, in today's video we're gonna take a look at Pathfinder. Finally, I know. As always, same we did with all of the other legends, we're gonna take a look at its abilities, best weapons to play with, best environment to utilize Pathfinder in, role in the team, as well as synergies with other legends. Alright, so let's get to it. What are the Pathfinder's abilities? As always with all of the legends, we have 3 different abilities. The passive one, allowing Pathfinder to discover the next circle before it gets revealed on the general map, which you can do by interacting with beacons in various locations marked on the minimap, which you will see if you're playing as Pathfinder, and I got to admit, it really isn't that useful, because here's the thing. Those beacons, first of all, aren't in every single location on the map, and knowing the next circle is actually crucial more till the end of the game. In the early game or mid game it's like, yeah, you know the next circle, but you still want to shoot some enemies or just run around looting, and it's really not that big of a deal because, first of all, the zone doesn't damage you practically at all, and the circle is big enough so that you can reach it pretty quickly. Now, when it comes to the final circles, the beacons are usually placed in big locations on the maps, and those locations aren't really likely to end up in the final zone, or in one of the final zones when the circle is getting pretty small, and this is where knowing where the next circle will be in advance might actually give you some advantage, and you're not really gonna be able to utilize it because, as I said, those beacons are most likely not gonna be there. As for the tactical ability, the Pathfinder gets a grappling hook, and I must admit that maybe it's not that useful compared to some other tactical abilities from other legends. You can still do pretty well with it if you know how to use it and when to use it, most importantly, but I have to admit, it is super fun to actually move around using the grappling hook. And as your ultimate ability, you can actually place down solid ziplines. It is not a grappling hook for the Pathfinder, you can normally put down ziplines for yourself, your squad mates, and all of the enemies who actually manage to get onto it, because yes, they can also use it. You're gonna see a pretty cool clip in a second where I use all of the, or maybe not all of them, but tactical and the ultimate ability in one clip and then win the game using Pathfinder, which is a pretty awesome example of what you can do if you are in the right situation with the right surroundings. When it comes to the weapons which work best with the legend, I would recommend you go for something designed for close quarter engagements, such as R301 assault rifle, which once again is my favorite assault rifle in the game. It is super good on close to medium range distances. Then I would recommend SMGs, Prowler with the select fire receiver, R99 SMG, shotguns, Peacekeeper, Mastiff, and also the LMGs. The Devotion with turbocharger, and at the end, as always, the Wingman, but Wingman pistol is broken on pretty much any distance. Like, if you manage to get a skull piercer attachment and then land headshots or even body shots, it's pretty much game over for the enemies. When it comes to the best environment where you can utilize Pathfinder to its fullest, again, it is one of those legends where you kind of need a super specific scenario to actually happen or be in a super specific place or situation to actually be able to utilize it. Because here's the thing, if you are in some sort of a town or around objects where you can actually use grappling hook or you can deploy a zipline on, then it is great. But if you find yourself in the middle of an open field and this is where the fight takes place, you're not really gonna be able to take any advantage of having Pathfinder. Because what, are you going to grapple to the ground? You're not gonna escape this way. Yes, you can confuse enemies for a while, yes, you can even grapple onto them and try getting closer to them faster, but still, if you come across experienced opponents, they won't care. I mean, they will be able to take you out anyway, so the best environment to play in with Pathfinder is to actually find a place where you can utilize your abilities. If you can't, then you don't have any advantages over your opponents. And when it comes to the role of the Pathfinder in the team, The only thing I can personally suggest from playing with Pathfinder for, well, quite a bit before making this video is sticking to playing as this character who wants to flank and surprise enemies pretty much. It isn't always gonna be this way, and it's not always going to work, but here's the thing. You don't really have any other direct combat abilities when it comes to Pathfinder. You can only get up to places where most characters can't, or other characters actually cannot, so you can surprise enemies. You can come up from sides they do not expect you to come up from because, hey, they will usually wait on a staircase, on an entrance, or I don't know where, I don't know on what, but essentially you don't have to follow the basic structures of the map if you want to get up on something using the Pathfinder. And this is where you can confuse enemies. You will not, however, be able to confuse them in a direct engagement. Once the enemies see you, they already know you are a Pathfinder, so they know they can expect anything to happen. They know you can grapple onto the roof or get a flank on them easily, and it's not going to be as surprising as it could possibly be if you actually got the flank before the engagement. Now, as for the synergies with other legends and how you can pair Pathfinder with other characters, I'll admit, it's pretty universal because it will not directly benefit other legends, but again, it will also not hurt them, so you can pretty much combine it with anything. It is the exact same scenario as with Lifeline. You will not have abilities which can benefit you in a direct combat, where you actually have to shoot enemies and take them out, but you will be able to both indirectly help your team and yourself. With the Pathfinder, you can pretty much combine it with anything. If you want to play aggressively, you can combine it with Wraith. You can get a flank along with Wraith. Yes, you will be a bit slower, but again, you are able to get into a better position thanks to your grappling hook and a zipline. If you want to get the flank on your opponents and they already know you are there, you can ask Bangalore to actually help you out with the smoke grenades and get the flank thanks to those, because enemies will not be able to actually see you grappling through the smoke. You can even ask Bangalore to use her ultimate and drop the bombardment on your enemies when you're trying to actually get the flank unnoticed, because once she drops the bombardment, enemies aren't likely to actually look at the Pathfinder and look at what he's doing. They are most likely to try getting away from the bombardment and not die from it or get stunned. The same thing can be applied with the Gibraltar, where you can also use the bombardment. You can use decoys from Mirage, again, distract enemies and prevent them from looking at Pathfinder when he's actually grappling around and getting the flank. The whole point is, Pathfinder is super universal when it comes to combining it with other legends. You can do pretty much anything, you can combine it with Lifeline, with Caustic, and they will not directly benefit one another, but they will also not hurt each other. So you can do it and nothing will happen. You can play this way. Does it benefit you as a team? Not quite. But you can still play really well with it. Realistically, to be perfectly honest with you guys, seeing the average skill level on Apex servers currently when there is no skill-based matchmaking which would put you against players who are actually on a semi, or maybe not semi, but on a similar level as you are when it comes to the skill and the capabilities of what you can do in the game, it doesn't really matter what legends you pick. I know it might be surprising, but it doesn't. Majority of the players don't know what's happening around them, and if you're playing against players who don't know what to do, you will still be able to take them out, no matter what combination you go with. You can play Caustic, Lifeline and Pathfinder, and you can still win the game. Because players don't know what's happening. If we actually get a skill-based matchmaking, then it will change, and then those synergies will actually make sense. But until then, you can pretty much play with anything you want, and you will still be effective. Anyway guys, that would be it for this video. If you are new to the channel and haven't seen the previous tutorials explaining other legends, except for Gibraltar, which I will be uploading tomorrow, here's the playlist, you can check out other legends and learn how to play with those. And as always, if you enjoyed, remember to leave a like, subscribe, and I see you in Apex. See ya!